really excited to get this one going. We have the entirety of the almost the entirety of the VV community with us on a different day and a different time than we usually do these, so we kind of let people filter in. But I also wanted to say a special hello to Reese, who is joining us on stage. He's the comms manager from the Ecomi VV side. What's up, Reese? How are you today?
Hello, fam. I'm doing well. Made it just in time for this AMA.
Fresh from a dentist appointment, I hear.
Fresh from the dentist appointment. Can confirm, teeth are healthy.
All right. Fantastic. All right. So, Matt, this has been a long time coming, in a way.
Yeah, what, 2 years? Yeah, almost 2 years ago, maybe? It's been a
Yeah,
while.
absolutely. Now, I first became aware of your work maybe about, I want to say almost 10 years ago now. And this is a funny little tidbit. I'm not sure if you remember this, but I was visiting my boy Bernard down at a local streetwear skate shop called Hot Rod.
Hot Rod.
Yes, sir. And I rolled in and I was looking for some dunks and some of the new hats he put out. And he's like, "Hey, have you met Matt GONDEK? He's a local artist. He's really cool." And I go, "No, nice to meet you, man. But let me check out your stuff." And then I did when I got home, and I was like, "Holy shit, this stuff is amazing." I've like from that moment on, shout out to Bernard for putting me on the Matt GONDEK some years ago. And that was kind of a cool little meeting that I got to have with you there at a hat that I've seen you repping around in various photos and whatnot.
No, totally. I mean, I moved to California maybe 8 or 9 years ago, and Bernard was like, he gave me my first shot here. Everyone listening, Hot Rod is like they're a shoe store. They're in what, West Hollywood
Westwood.
or where
Westwood.
are they? Westwood, thank you. But I moved here, and I had a friend who just took me there, showed me around, and I asked Bernard if I could have an art show there, and he's kind of the guy that gave me my first shot, like I said. So I'm not sure when you're talking about, but it was probably right when I first moved
Yeah,
here. So that's
if
awesome.
you only moved here 8 or 9 years ago, then that's probably just when it was, because I remember.
I always wanted to be like a serious artist or a fine artist or, someone who has art in galleries that people buy a piece as opposed to just making artwork, putting a band name on it and putting it out into the world. So I started painting a couple years ago, maybe about 10 years ago, just to try something else. And I moved out to California and met some people. And then finally, I guess my career took a turn about 5 or 6 years ago. I did my first international show in Hong Kong. And since then, it's been a pretty cool ride. And what's cool now is like with NFTs and everything, within the last, 2 years, I'm able to kind of go back to the beginning of my career, which was a lot of digital work, which I gave up on at the time because no one was taking any of that seriously. No one was really collecting digital work, which is why Veve is awesome, why NFTs are great, So it's kind of my little story.
Nice. And kind of tell us about your stuff. For those not familiar, I'm going to start pinning some of your tweets here at the top so people can see your work. But tell us a little more about your style and how it developed and how the deconstructive pop artist Matt GONDEK came to be.
Yeah, what I do now, I mean, I've been drawing since I was a baby, and I would draw cartoons, and I got into really heavy into comic books in my teenage years, early 20s. So I was drawing a lot of just Spider-Man, Wolverine, like a lot of stuff that teenagers draw. Well, back then they did, and I was just have always been doing this. I did the freelance illustration, like I said, for a couple of years. Was me just coming up like a lot of like monsters and stuff, stuff like that age range usually draws, and when I started painting, I didn't want to keep drawing monsters or anything because I kind of associated that with my digital work. I'm going to try something else. And like I said, I've always been drawing these characters forever. So I knew I definitely wanted to use them. And I always like things exploding and breaking apart, which is kind of what I'm known for now. So just to try painting, I picked Mickey Mouse. I had a drawing of Mickey Mouse with his head blowing up, and I tried it painting that, and I kept doing that until I had like 10 of those, had an art show. But yeah, the thing I'm known for, it's called deconstructive pop art. You can just go on my Instagram at GONDEK Draws, check it out. But that's kind of how it all started. Yeah, just been exploring that world for the last maybe 10 years, and has a lot to do with how I grew up. Like I was really into punk rock, so a lot of those elements, like the whole anti-conformity, battling the higher powers, all that stuff is in the work. Yeah, I guess that's my spiel.
We have a lot of punk rock artists that seem to find us on
No,
Veve.
to be honest,
Yeah.
I honestly, maybe I'm just in my own narrow little bubble, but like I feel like there's not too many. So it's cool that there's other ones, and like I just how I grew up, so kind of like how I apply all my work is applied to like how I grew up in that kind of ethos. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I agree there. I agree. Sorry, I'll go for it, man.
No, I was going to say, yeah. I mean, we're fortunate enough to work with artists like Frank Kozik and Jermaine Rogers, who come from the gig poster world and the kind of the punk scene, and kind of came up through doing gig posters, much like you did merch for artists, and then kind of graduated from there into fine art, vinyl toys, etc. And they're still working today. How did you find your transition from kind of doing merch and graphic art into like physical artwork? Did you go start with painting, or did you do sculpture first?
It was amazing. It was the most freeing thing I've ever done, because I was a freelance digital illustrator only because I didn't want to go work a job. Like I used to work in car insurance, and that was the last thing on earth I wanted to do. So getting paid to draw band t-shirts was excellent, but it was never the end goal or anything like that. What was your question?
The transition from that into
So I started doing the band t-shirts, but I was just doing that to make money. And when I transitioned to fine art, it was just very freeing, because like I didn't have to worry about appeasing a client, or making sure the band I was working with approved the shirt. It was just, I came up with this, it's for sale through me only. And it was just fun to paint, like, because for so long I was just sitting on a computer. I wasn't making anything tactile, fungible. And it was just kind of cool to physically hold a painting and flip it upside down and get paint on your hands. Like, it was just really nice. So it was a good thing.
Nice. What was your, what would you say your first sculpture was?
The first one that I'm really proud of we did is made out of vinyl. It's called Deconstructive Mouse. We did that maybe 5 years ago, and we dabbled in it. We did some sculptures before that in like other things like resin, which is a little bit harder and like more fragile. But I felt with like my first vinyl, like I guess toy sculpture, we really kind of did a home run on what we're trying to capture. So that was that. And the one I'm most proud of, I put out maybe 2 years ago. It was my first bronze piece, and that was cool because that's the most I've had like hands-on making a sculpture up until that piece. I was working with a team. So that's my answer.
Nice. What was the what bronze piece was that? Was that the
so
I don't know the name of it. Sorry. Go ahead. No, I think I know which one you're talking about, but can you tell us which one it was?
Yeah, so I can never say what character they're based on, but it was the punk rock duck. It was the Anger Issues, the one with the spiked baseball bat, the leather jacket, and all that stuff.
Okay, so that's actually a good question, and that, because I was wondering how you kind of navigated those waters, so to speak.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I get asked it a lot.
Yeah.
When I first started painting and like making t-shirts and stuff, I was just flying blind on ignorance. I had no idea that you couldn't do that stuff. But obviously now that I've been doing it for so long, I'm well versed in how to do it. A lot of the times, for example, fine art, a piece of art that exists on a canvas hanging on a wall in a gallery, that's a one of one, that's a piece of art. You really can't copyright those things because it's artistic expression. You start to have troubles whenever you start mass producing something. So, let's say you make an action figure that kind of looks like Mickey Mouse, right? You can't really do that. There's a thing called the caricature law, which, on papers, you have to change things 30%, but how do you measure that? It's a gray area. But a lot of people like me, we buy licenses to the, like for example, you guys work with like Marvel and Disney and all that stuff. There's licenses purchased, and that's kind of how you all work together and make sure no one gets in trouble. But that's kind of the background and all that.
Cool. And you say you've purchased licenses in the past to do like collaborations in conjunction with those companies?
Yeah, and
Okay.
to be quite honest, I have some difficulties only because I blow up the head. You see a skull, and some companies view that as like, oh, they're dead, and we don't want our characters to look like. So there are times I can't acquire something I want because of those reasons.
Got it. But for the most part, I think your fans know you for that style, and I think others, fans of like pop art in general, eat that stuff up because it is a totally new take on those otherwise classic characters, even though that IP and some of those brands are a little more guarded with interpretations of their work if they have a say so.
No, absolutely. Pop art's a super easy entry point for people to start acquiring and appreciating art because it's based off something they already know.
Yeah.
I'm not stupid. I knew that going in. I knew that by using these popular culture references, it was going to help me. But what point does that become a crush in your career? But it is nice. I do reap the benefits of using pop culture stuff in my work.
Awesome. So tell me how you then transitioned outside of that realm, given that that's kind of primarily what you're known for.
What do you mean? In what regards?
Like doing other forms that are not based on pop culture.
Oh, got you. Yeah. It's just honestly as an artist wanting to expand and try new things. I love what I do, but I've been doing it for so long. This is a great transition to the project you and I are working on together because it's not just a blowing up Bart Simpson or something. It's an original concept I came up with for specific reasons tailored to my life. And I was having a lot of difficulty trying to figure out how to make it in the physical world. And whenever we started talking, I figured this is an excellent opportunity for this idea. We can get into it if you want, or we can wait, or whatever you want.
Yeah, we can get into it now if you want. Let's talk about your. For those in the audience, Matt does have an upcoming drop on Veve. We're going to talk about that now, and I think we'll let you just go into the story about the weapons rack, and I'll go ahead and tweet out an image so we can pin it to the top here.
Oh, amazing! People are finally going to see it. Yeah. The piece is called Weapons Rack. Basically, I'm not picking political sides or anything. It's just observation of my life. 2 years ago, when COVID really first started, I live in downtown Los Angeles, and it got really hairy down here. A lot of the businesses moved away. You started seeing a lot more crime in the area. You had people just like they would stage protests in grocery stores because they'd all walk in without a mask on. And it was just kind of hectic down here. And I think for the first time in a while, downtown Los Angeles has been like growing every year and getting better and more beautiful. And this was the first time it kind of staggered, and it was just kind of scary. And then immediately after that, Black Lives Matter happened and everything that came with that. And you had all this police brutality, and you had these people getting attacked, and you had people organizing in the streets, and then sometimes bad things would happen there because somebody would attack somebody. There was a huge riot on Fairfax Avenue here in California, and a lot of stores got destroyed, one of my friends included. The point is, all of this stuff starts to make you think about safety, self-defense, offense. And I don't own a gun, and I never wanted to, and it's just not for me, whatever. So I started thinking of other ways to protect yourself, and this idea popped in my head. Is called a weapons rack, and it's basically a rack of weapons that are inside the home, but it's all readily available things, like, for example, a baseball bat, a giant wrench, a tire iron, things that the normal person would have, and it would just be readily available in the home for defense, for anything you needed. And then I was like, well, that's kind of cool, but what if it was just like really shiny and pretty looking? So it was functional and just easy on the eyes, which is where the idea came from for the weapons rack. I sketched a lot of these different weapon racks, like switching out things. But what everyone's hopefully now seeing on Twitter is the final idea we all landed on. I passed this to you guys, and we've been working on this for a while now, fleshing this idea out.
Yeah, and it's super amazing stuff. Like, just so everybody's aware, there's going to be 4 colorways in blind box format of this weapons rack, and it's going to make some showrooms really, really pop. So we're really looking forward to it. And This is just the first of a few drops I think we have planned over the coming months and years, hopefully, with Matt. And it's not only looks really cool, it's also a great statement piece, and to hear the story behind it is pretty intense. I mean, it's I live in Los Angeles as well, so I can attest to some of those trying times when some of the protests were happening and some of the quote unquote riots or bad actors that were kind of destroying stores during the time. So the idea of self-defense without guns is something that I think a lot of people had in their minds at that time. But very cool. So we have that pinned to the top there, everybody. If you want to take a look, that is dropping this Saturday at 8 a.m. Pacific in blind box format. So we got some other good stuff coming this week. Obviously, we'll put the blog article out soon, and we'll have some other goodies to promote the drop on Saturday.
I'm not playing awesome favorites, but the ultra rare colorway is golden black, which is Pittsburgh, which is where I'm from. So shout out to
nice.
That.
All right,
I'm pretty
that makes
sense.
That. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, that's why I fought for that one. But yeah.
Now, did you have an idea about what colors you wanted these to appear in coming in? I know I was kind of loosely involved in the process and just maybe like finalizing the approvals, but what was the process like for you in putting this together and getting the different colorways and working with the team, etc.?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm primarily known for my physical art, canvas and galleries. I'm actually just came off a physical art show we did in Mexico City, where in that show I just used 5 colors. I consistently use these 5 colors. It's a neon pink, a neon yellow, teal, it's a light gray, and then black. So originally I walk into this, I'm like, oh, I want these weapon racks to be neon pink, neon teal, neon yellow. And we did have some tests like that. I'm looking at it, I'm like, I feel like these would be better if they looked a little bit more, I don't know, elegant or refined. I'm like, I feel like shiny, more shiny metallic colors would be great. Maybe like a gold or a silver, So no easy answer there. Like the colors we came up with are a combination of my early ideas of incorporating neon and the second idea of incorporating the shiny metallic. So there's like a marriage between the two. I hope everyone likes them. I think they're really gorgeous.
Yeah, I think they're amazing. If you don't mind, I think maybe we'll get into some questions, but from the audience, I did have some kind of tweeted in, and then I have Skeet up here is going to help filter me some questions from the audience. Maybe we'll bring in somebody up on stage to ask a question or two, if that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. And then just to kind of touch on it, I know we've gotten this question on Twitter a few times because, as you know, as you may have been able to tell, our community is very passionate.
I noticed.
Yeah, and so I think at the time, even before we'd even inked any kind of deal, there was some circulation of a certain showroom image as a proof of concept from our CEO, David Yu, who's a big fan of your work, by the way. And that somehow that proof of concept made its way to the public. And I think a YouTuber or two did some reconnaissance and some deep dive into the pattern in reverse Google image search matching and found that a piece of art in the corner of a showroom prototype belonged to you, or 2 of them, in fact.
Yeah.
And so, fortunately, unfortunately, that got out into the public, and it was, obviously not for public consumption. And I remember that was just kind of when I first started here, and I had reached out to you on Instagram saying, hey, sorry about this. We're not trying to use your images without your permission. I think it was mainly just a proof of concept, but our community was really excited about the prospect of having you on Veve at some point. But I'll make sure that we'll use a little more caution in sharing those images in public forums, whether it's a web stream or whatever the case was. But it's really awesome to hear that that you're actually now on board and officially launching some NFTs with us.
Didn't this happen with Weezer, where everyone online just said you guys should cover Toto's Africa until they did it? This is exactly for real. Like
they covered Rosanna first, though. So like,
yeah, I was just working one day. I was just painting, and I put my phone down. Like an hour or two goes by. I look at my phone. I have all these tweets like confirmed GONDEK on Veve. I'm like, and I click on there's a YouTube video. Like we tracked down this bottom left 3 pixels of this image, and it's Matt GONDEK's painting from 1997. Like holy shit, it was crazy, but it worked.
It totally worked. It got everybody fired up.
Yeah.
And shout out to, I think you even responded to that tweet with the video that was put out maybe like 10 minutes after the fact. Shout out Non-Fungible Wonderful. By the way, one of the intro songs they played before the brass band, that is a song by the guy who put out that YouTube video, saying GONDEK confirmed. He's a very talented artist and writes Veve and NFT related music. So check him out. Non-Fungible Wonderful. But yeah, I'm glad we could all finally get to the point where we are officially announcing our partnership with Matt GONDEK and the Weapons Rack Season 1 drop this Saturday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 4 colorways in blind box format. And I think with that, let's maybe get some questions. Hey, Skeet, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Did you have a question, or are you going to filter in some questions from Discord?
I'm going to filter in some straight off the rip from the Discord. Nice to speak with you, Matt. Nice to hear your story and get some of your experiences in. But I the Discord have quite a few questions, so I'll keep the mentions open on Twitter and Discord to pass them through.
Okay, let's hear it.
So first one from Jez was querying about some of the inspiration behind that blown up Mickey, and if you have any plans to talk with Veve about that as well.
Yeah, I can quickly touch on that. So my very first painting ever, you could say, was a blown up Mickey. So I used to be a freelance illustrator, and I had this job where basically I had to draw Mickey Mouse like 30 times, but I had to submit like 100 of them. So I was drawing him all day, every day, like when I was on the phone, watching TV, and eventually, every 5 or 6 of them, there's a bad one where he was getting run over or shot or poisoned. And when I first started painting, like I had no idea what to pick to paint, and I had that stack of drawings of all those Mickey Mouse, something happening to them, and I randomly grabbed the one where his head was blowing up. That's where it all started. Around that time, I was in a punk band, and our drummer was named Skeet, and I've never in my life, besides you and him, knew someone named Skeet. My mod, Tim Unkefer, is listening right now. He used to live with me. He knows Skeet. What up, Tim? Hope that answers your question.
That's pretty dope. Well, there you go. You got 2 of us now, so it's cool. We'll. I can't play drums.
Strength in numbers. I love it. Thank you.
No worries. So Luigi of the Hood was asking about some of the challenges you may have had, if you any, about Web3, and how you think you'll be able to kind of navigate those going forward.
Yeah, cool. Well, I literally didn't know a thing about it a year and a half ago. My first dip of a toe into anything Web3, I did release with Nifty Gateway. That was my introduction. I did it, like 2 Novembers ago, and then I did one last February that was quite successful. At the time, I was just excited that people were buying a new form of my work. That's all I was like excited about, because I didn't understand anything. Then 4 hours pass and Web3 completely changes, as it does. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I didn't have any utility with my drops. And I'm like, well, what is utility? And I'm like trying to figure this out. Meanwhile, I've already released everything. So, a lot of a lot of my artist friends, I got in super early, but I personally don't think I did enough research on the topic. So we stopped making NFTs like last November. We just put a pause because we were starting from scratch, and we made a new project where actually there's utility and there's all these other things. It's tied to physical product later on down the line. It's this thing where I'm saying, okay, I kind of understand now. Can you please take a look at this? And also, if you supported me already with any of my NFTs, here's this. Thank you. Like, kind of like a thank you, and I'm going to do the right thing and hope everyone's into it. But that's all cool. That's all selfish stuff. I personally love the idea of having certificates of authenticity for physical art. Anyone listening, you buy a painting or a statue, like a physical fungible thing. Most of the time, you get a piece of paper saying this is real, where you can't really track that, right? But obviously, with Web3 and blockchain, you can. And I'm personally super excited about that and the future of that. Hope that answers your question. Super long answer, sorry.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you. Ski, do you have another one, or can we bounce it to the audience quickly?
Yeah, go to the audience. I'll clamor a couple more. All good, but thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. OMW, do you have a question for Matt? You're on mute. OMW.
Hey, how are you, Matt? Welcome to the Veve family.
What up?
Just wanted to figure out one thing. I know that you said that you started with digital work. I know 90% of your work does start as digital, but you do love that textural feel of painting on texture. Do you think that you'll be making more NFTs in the future and leaning off of the physical work, or what do you think that balance is going to end up being in the future?
Okay, so I just touched on this a second ago. We are working on a new NFT project. It's a PFP project where I get to scratch my personal itch of making digital work. But because my background is physical work, I've been a physical artist for the last 15 years. I don't ever want to just turn my back on my life, my practice, or the people who follow me and appreciate what I do. I don't want to turn my back on any of that. So part of the time spent recently trying to reconfigure was like, how do I stay true to who I am? Because I am interested in the future in Web3, but I also don't want to give up painting. So I don't want to give away too much because today is about Veve, and I'm talking about some speculative stuff later. But the project I'm working on marries the digital and the physical in the most official, true form of how I can do it, which I hope people will give me a shot and check it out. And I'm just happy because I can continue doing everything I love instead of just focusing on one or the other.
Matt, if you would, maybe can you talk about where people can find out about your projects outside of Veve, maybe your Discord or something like that?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, my Discord is probably the best place to learn about all this stuff. It's just Discord, just Matt Gondek, MATT GONDEK. Then I'm on Twitter, Matt Gondek. Instagram is Gondek Draws. Those are usually the main places, but I recommend Discord just because, again, shout out to Tim. I don't know if Brian's in here, Andy, Audrey, my team. We're in there all day just making sure everyone's getting taken care of.
Awesome. Right on. All right. We'll move on to Edwin. Edwin, do you have a question for Matt?
I just wanted to say, Matt, I checked out your work. It's amazing. I actually have a question to either Alex or Reese.
Well, can we stay up here then? Let's hold on until after we wrap up with Matt, and then I'll bring you up, okay? All right,
thanks.
Cool. Skeet, let's go back to you for the Discord and Twitter.
Okay. So I'm not sure how familiar you are with some of the platform there, Matt, but I've got one from Matthew Lambie who's saying, if your home was surrounded by serial killers, labbits, myrmecornos, which weapon from your rack would you choose and which color?
I know a few of those things are. I'm always going to go with the spiked baseball bat. It's my favorite thing on earth, so it's always going to be that one.
There's a standalone piece, a physical piece that is the spiked baseball bat as well, isn't there?
Yeah, I always do a couple physical spiked baseball bats for all my, art exhibits. I like that to be the first thing people see when they walk in. It kind of is a metaphor for my whole punk rock destruction kind of vibe. So, yeah.
Awesome. Right on.
And there's quite a clamor for some of your work. So Christmas has basically asked if this is kind of a standalone piece, or will we be likely? I know there's only so much that you can probably say. There is quite a clamor for your 2D and 3D pieces, like your Homer, Mickey, which we've mentioned, anime, etc., etc. So if there's only so much you can say, just know that there is quite a clamor for more of your pieces to come. And if there is anything you are able to say on that, then fire away.
I'm 100% not allowed to talk about that. Everyone who did the research prior to this drop and posted the videos of certain pieces, we heard you and we didn't forget about you guys, but I can't talk about it.
That's understandable. Cheers.
Shoot your shot, though. That was a nice try.
Yeah,
Definitely worth.
Definitely worth.
All right. You got a few more, or we're good?
We're good so far.
I have one or two more from Discord if you got some time.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Go ahead.
No problem. So we have someone named. I want to make sure I get this name correctly. Well, in the meantime, I'll get back to the name. They would like to know when we go over to Immutable X, it's when MTL X. If we go over to Immutable X, once that migration is complete, will you be considering allowing your NFTs on Veve off of the Veve platform?
Good question. We're to be honest with you, we're still talking about that. There's still a couple of days before the drop. We're still trying to figure everything out, nail up the last pieces. So I can't answer yes or no to that. I don't have an answer yet.
No worries. Thanks, bud.
Okay, was that it? W? Any more?
Yeah, that's pretty much the heap of it.
Okay, great. Looks like some of the questions I had have already basically been answered. Different formats. How has your views of NFTs changed over the past year or so?
Is that for me?
Yes.
Yeah, originally I just looked at it as another way to put artwork out into the world. Like I'm looking at selfishly from an artist, I am an artist. Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. Here's a way that I can put out work that more people are going to see my stuff. How my views have changed is I hate just saying that the garbage umbrella term, utility. I understand how you can use an NFT to do so much more. It can be like a key basically to these other experiences and other things. And it's part of like a club, I think that's really cool. And I couldn't really ever do that with anything else I've ever done. So that's really my favorite thing and most interesting thing.
Awesome.
Just on
go ahead,
on that note. Yeah. I'm just looking through your Instagram profile as well, Matt, and seeing quite a lot of murals and walls that you've painted. Were you kind of doing that sort of work before the digital creation, like in your early career, or has that come post?
Yeah, it was straight digital the first, 5, 6, 7 years. I'll be honest with you. I always, since like a kid, I like comic books and I like street art and murals and stuff. And I was always just like so impressed by the people that can go do that, like Greg Mike, who's listening. That, to be quite honest, when I started painting canvases, I was like, well, I always wanted to paint a mural. I'm going to go figure out how to do that. So it all came at the same time. And it's great because like, it's a good reason to travel. It's a good reason to be outside with your friends. Like, I'm almost 40, and like it's not quite often I call up a bunch of friends and say, let's go play hacky sack in the park, but let's go paint a mural. It's a reason for us all to get together and have fun.
For sure. And I mean, as you just said, it's a great way to put your work out into the world as well. On that note, do you have a favorite mural? Is there a particular piece that you've done that stands out?
Yeah, I have a mural called Deconstructed Homer. And that was the reason why it's my favorite is that it's my first mural. It was on the side of my garage in Pittsburgh. It's like 5 feet tall, and somehow it took me 3 days to do with a tiny little brush, like the wrong way to do a mural. But, it was like, I'm like, yeah, I'm outside painting. This is exactly what I wanted. I felt so good about it. So like when I see photos of that, it just brings back this like really electric, great feeling I had at the time. So that's why it's my favorite.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome.
And how did you learn how to then scale those pieces, larger, like with different techniques? Do you have like a close community of projector? Okay, all right.
Yeah, quick, easy way for an artist to scale their work. When I was starting out, I didn't know anything about any technique skill, so I used a projector and I got started to kind of trace everything on the wall. There's all these other tricks. There's a thing called the grid method where you basically just draw a bunch of squiggles all over the wall, and then you can use this app to kind of line up your sketch to the squiggles. A lot of artists use that. Obviously, you can sketch it, but the problem with that is because it's so big and you're so close to the wall, you have to go up a ladder, do a little bit, get off the ladder, go back 20 feet. It's quite tedious. Projector's the answer. Shout out to Bamboo from Pittsburgh. I see you listening.
Nice. All right, looks like we have another person from the audience with a question. Hello, Claire.
Hello. Yeah, no, just to say that obviously I was one of the people when we first thought we'd worked out you were coming to Veve, and then we found out that you're now here. So, yeah, thank
The herd
you
is
for
over.
bearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for bearing with us as the community, because we do get a bit bloodthirsty. So we haven't scared you off. So that's a good thing.
I'm still here.
But I mean, my journey with Veve is obviously when you see the IPs, you understand who Batman is, you understand what Superman is. But I've discovered this newfound love for art and artists. And then it also develops into kind of wanting to buy the physical versions from the artists as well. And it was just, is this something that you've considered as a future with Veve, where we might be seeing physical items coincide with what you're dropping?
That is that I'm literally not trying to give out any hints here, but that's always an option. Like, I come from a physical world, so I always kind of, if without thinking, I always go that direction, physical first. So yeah, it's always a possibility. But yeah, I appreciate you back in the day doing the sleuth work and everything. But yeah, I hope that
Oh, well,
answers your
so
question.
I'm not taking the credit for that. I mean, I was just,
Okay.
I was a sheep that followed. No, there was people far more intelligent than me that worked
Got it.
it
Got
out.
it. Got it. Got it.
She of many retweets.
Yeah, I'm probably guilty of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Claire, for coming up. Matt, it's been an absolute pleasure. We're really looking forward to having you here as part of the Veve fam, and having your work available to people, fans and new fans alike. So for everybody who didn't catch it, I've pinned to the top tweet announcing Matt Gondek's first drop with Veve Weapons Rack Season 1, 4 colorways and blind box format, drops this Saturday at 8 a.m. Pacific, and hopefully the first of many. Matt, any parting words or anything else you want to talk about as far as your other projects or anything like that?
Just your standard stuff. Everyone listening, just thank you so much. Like, I've been had my toe in the water with you guys for like 2 years, and everyone's been super supportive. And whenever we first started flirting, everyone got just so much like nice fan things, DMs, comments. Like, everyone's been so nice and polite. A little like rabid, but so thank you to everybody. I'm I'm really stoked that I'm working with you guys, because you guys were nice, and I thought we worked together really well, and like, everything's been super easy, and you guys are really easy to work with. So I super appreciate that. My team helping obviously with this build, Andy and Kelly. Then we have Tim and Brian, our Discord mods. And just check out my other stuff. I'm always doing art shows. I have a PFP project coming we can talk about next time. But yeah, just thanks. That's it. That's all I got.
Right on. So you just wrapped up your show in Mexico City. Is that correct, or is that still ongoing?
Yeah, I just wrapped up.
Okay. Do you have another physical show that you're planning on?
Yeah, there's a couple expos throughout the year, just like all over the world, like art fairs and whatnot. But that's only like 1 or 2 paintings, so whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I do. I have one in the fall. I'm literally not allowed to talk about, but it's in the fall. It's a really big show. It's a lot of work. That's the next thing I'm working on right now.
Got it. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye out for that. Everybody, make sure you follow Matt Gondek on Twitter. His handle is above. Also, Gondek Draws on Instagram, and the Discord at what was that address one more time, Matt?
Just my name, Matt Gondek, MATTGONDEK.
All right. Well, I appreciate you spending time with us today. And you're more than welcome to stick around, but you're probably going to have questions about payout and whatnot. So
I have to go paint, so I'm going to head out of here. But I appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, Matt.
Appreciate
thank you
it.
so much.
Yep. See ya.
See you, Matt.
Right. Good times. Really excited for this, by the way. So as if you couldn't tell, I've been a fan of his work for some time. And this new set, this weapons rack, looks awesome. I think it's going to really look cool in a lot of showrooms. So, all right, with that, we'll transition now into a few quick updates, and we'll do some questions AMA style. Not too much to go over today, so we'll spend probably most of the time on questions either from Twitter or bringing some people up to the stage. But let's go ahead and quickly touch on a few things. We just put out the article about payout beta. MTL cash out, as it has otherwise been referred to. Just wanted to touch on a few items out of that article, just to kind of clear a few things up. So we are on. This is part of the ongoing kind of beta testing phases, right? So after we finally got that through development, we are now working with our MTL provider, which is called BlueSnap, to do the KYC and then to initiate the payout. We were going to be onboarding beta testers to that program weekly and at random. So, while the initial testers were either people that were closer to the development of the platform as a whole, like some of the original OGs, or people with a few with like higher gem counts, for instance, so that we could test larger amounts versus smaller amounts. Now we're going to start opening the beta testing up to several people per week at random, and you will be notified via email to the email that is registered with your Veve account, so that we can start to have a better idea of like what types of transactions and what types of KYC that we are going to look for, so that we can properly scale the effort with BlueSnap to accommodate all 2.1 million users and counting. That pretty much is that, and I'm sure we'll have some other questions, but did you want to add anything to that, Reese, on that front?
For now, really only to keep in mind that they will be small groups to start. So we're not going to randomly let in 500,000 users next week.
Right.
So you don't need to kind of constantly be checking your wallets every day to see if the payout button has been activated. As Alex said, we will send out emails to make you aware of it as well.
Right.
And we'll announce it on socials too.
Yes, exactly. And sorry, good. That's a good point of clarification. So for the beta phase, there will be very small groups brought on to help us test and load test and KYC test. And then as we actually go live, that will also be phased out, but much larger groups when it is actually quote unquote live to the general public, so that we don't overwhelm not only BlueSnap, but the market as a whole.
Yeah, for sure. And look, I think it's probably just pertinent to mention, there is obviously a bit of a process to this. From when you begin your KYC application, you should expect to hear from BlueSnap sort of within 5 business days. By the time that's approved and you process a payment, because of the SWIFT system, it can take another 2 weeks to arrive. So the testing rollout, especially as we start to add more people, there is that lead time there, from KYC to actually receiving the payment, and we need to run through that whole process before we can really overload the system there. So just be aware of that. I'd love to say everyone will have access next week, but it's just not practical for that to happen just yet.
All right. Moving on to the next item, web platform, currently in staging. Reese and I can attest that this does exist, and it is currently in a staging environment. We got a demo of it yesterday, and it is looking good. So essentially what the web platform is, for everybody who's not aware, is that it is the essentially the web-facing interface of the current version of the app. So instead of scrolling through the app on your phone, you will be able to use a very similar experience on the web. So looking through, all of the collections, upcoming drops, marketplace, showrooms, etc. And there'll also be a couple other specific bells and whistles for the web in terms of, how you purchase or how you access your wallet, both Gem and Omi. I believe, what was the other thing, Reese?
Might not be what you're thinking of, but there was a vault valuation.
That's it. Yes.
Yep. So I think that will be rolled out in the app over the next couple of weeks as well.
Yes. And for everybody who's wondering, the vault valuation is essentially just kind of a running, we'll say, appraisal of all of the collectibles in your collection based on current floor prices.
Yeah. I think eventually the plan would be to try and maybe take an average of the previous 10 sales of that collectible to kind of make it a bit more accurate. But to start, it will just be that floor price.
Cool. All right. Next up, the new drop queue. Lots of questions on this, and we hear you, and we are diligently working on getting this to a point where we can test it in a live environment. But as far as the queue system or waiting room, or however however we're going to refer to it, but essentially the moving away from fastest finger on a drop, but more of a random selection at time of drop based on a waiting room or a queue. That is going into internal testing at the end of next week. So just a final pieces of development happening on that with internal testing next week. And then we'll communicate on how we're going to roll that out. As mentioned, I think in prior AMA, that there will be it won't launch entirely and it won't replace the current drop system entirely. There will be probably concurrent types of drops. So there'll be like the current and traditional type drop where it's click at buy now at 0, and then there will be the queue system so that we can run both in parallel, and where nothing is there's if we have to fall back on the original to just do some improvements or something, we have the ability to do that. But also there will be a test drop, so we're coming up with something to sell, or at a very low price point, that is something that has many additions, so that we can basically have a drop of little to no consequence, I guess, let's say, so that people can kind of test it in a live environment. So whether that's a Veve logo or some shelves or whatever the case is, we'll figure that out. But yeah, so that's the latest on that. Reese, do you want to go over some Ecomi updates?
Yeah. Nothing has really changed on that front just yet. So I know a lot of people are asking about or waiting for the bridge to move from layer 2, the Veve app, back to layer 1, which would be exchanges or your own wallets. Now, the original plan was to open our own bridge, but there's been a few bugs on the IMX side that we have been waiting for their devs to iron out. And I think the quicker implementation of that will actually be to use their bridge through the IMX marketplace. Now, it's not available yet. Same thing, we're still waiting. I'm waiting on confirmation that those things have been fixed, at which point I will release instructions on how to use their interface to bridge. And then once they've implemented those changes, we can open ours. But I think theirs will be open first. But look, for most people, it probably won't affect you. If you moved tokens to the Veve app, presumably your intention was to use them in the app, and none of that has changed. So hopefully it's not affecting too many people. But as soon as I get the go-ahead from all the development team, I will release some instructions on that. In the meantime, I would strongly advise against trying to use it, just in case you lose your tokens somewhere in the Netherlands of crypto, basically. And then the second update, OKX and Gate.io, I still have not heard back from. I've been pinging OKX every single day as to when their devs will open trading and withdrawals again. Still have no update there. And Gate.io, same deal. I'm waiting to hear back from their development team as to when they'll reactivate those. But as soon as I have information on that, I'll post it in our announcement channels and on socials and all the rest. But really, I think that kind of wraps up the quickest updates we need to cover.
Okay, great. We're gonna do a little more Q&A this time. I have some from Twitter that I'll go over, and then hey, Noah, are you there? Noah, are you on mute?
Yes, here.
Hey, Noah, what's up?
Hey,
good to hear from you. Shout out Noah, everybody who is running the show from the Veve handle today. Do you mind helping us bring up some people on stage while I go through some of these Twitter questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, so let's move into a couple of these questions from Twitter. Fernando asks, the heavy server load failures make it almost impossible to hit something when you're not in North America. Will there be regional drops, and will there be a big drop with leftover comics and collectibles? Okay, so let's one by one here. heavy server load, I believe you're referring to the error message that appeared for several users in, weeks prior. I think we've finally have nailed that down, and it was basically just a display, an alert display error, as opposed to something wrong with the app or the actual server load. So that has since been resolved, and it shouldn't really affect the fact that where you are in the world, be affected by where you are in the world. Everybody essentially has the same chance at a drop. I know that is up for debate in many of the community circles, but the only reason I get asked this all the time, like why is it fair that so many people in the U.S. hit drops and then people elsewhere in the world don't? Well, for one, 70%, if not more, of our user base is in the United States, so it's just kind of a pure numbers thing. There's no real mechanism or anything that makes it more fair for people in the U.S. to get drops than over other people in the world. Now, does your internet connection speed, phone processor, and things like that have a little bit to do with it? Probably. But I think once we move to the queue system, that should be kind of moot, right? So essentially, it'll be chosen at random once you're in the queue for any given drop. Will there be regional drops? I think generally we are aiming to be a global company, right? So any of our drops will be available globally. There may or may not be something that is specific to a specific region if we don't have the license and they want to drop something, but I don't really foresee that happening, and that's probably more of a David question. So I will pose that to him, and hopefully, I have an answer for that. But I don't anticipate that being the case.
Yeah, just on that, and I think a lot of people would probably know, as an example, the Cartoon Network license. When we first started releasing that content, the license that we acquired only allowed us to release that in China, I think from memory. Yeah. But then the marketplace is open for anyone to trade and make their purchases. So, as you said, the intention is definitely for most of our licenses to be available globally. However, the IPs themselves will be more region specific. We will definitely open different verticals that are more specific to the Asian region, or Little Prince for the French audience and Europeans, things like that. So
Pilly Fantasy we just launched for the Taiwanese, famous in Taiwan and elsewhere, but obviously specifically for for that region, although available globally.
Yeah, and I mean, what a great way to learn about new brands, new fandoms as well. Yeah, making them available globally. So there's that. Was there one more part to that question, Alex?
Yes. Will there be a big drop with leftover collectibles and comics? And I'm not sure I understand this. I assume you mean. Oh, actually, I don't know what you. We sell out every drop. If you're talking about the holdbacks. That is those go to a combination of the licensors and the applicable artists, and then archive, as well as a pool of giveaways. Now, on the giveaway tip, we are now going to be ramping up our giveaway program again. I think maybe last giveaway we did in earnest was the 12 Days of Christmas, and I think we just had to take a short break because it is a little bit labor intensive the way we have it set up. But now we're going to look to really get some of the kind of holdbacks back into the community, and we'll look at the cadence. But hopefully, every 2 to 4 weeks we'll be doing another set of drops. So for anything that you may have missed or don't want to spend on in the market, we will have those opportunities to give those away back to the community. So keep an eye out on that. We'll have information in the coming days, or hopefully before next week, about what our next giveaway is going to be. All right, let's go back to Edwin, who's on stage. What's up, Edwin?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, with the Aston Martin secret rares being drivable, just on the optic level, for all the DeLorean holders, at least I was under the impression that the feature just wasn't ready. So if it's ready for the Aston Martin what makes it not ready for the DeLorean?
It's
The
not that
DeLorean
it's.
was. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just going to
No,
say
I
the
was going to
DeLorean
say.
dropped quite a while
Yeah.
ago.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Reese. Go.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't ready. It wasn't ready when the DeLorean first dropped. There's still a few videos of that circulating, and they look a bit janky. And a lot of the work has gone into scaling, maintaining the scale of the car itself, or pegging it to a specific size so that it kind of can stay within that frame. So now that that has been developed, I mean, this is not confirmation of anything, but obviously everybody knows that that sort of drivable feature has been in the wings, and we do have a lot more vehicles coming soon, some of which I would expect to be drivable.
Yeah, just so you know, Reese, I was given the green light.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, so the DeLorean will be drivable. The reason why the Aston Martin came out first is because of the nature of that drop and how ultra premium it was, and just the kind of the negotiations with the Bond people and Aston Martin directly, and why we were treating that as a very limited edition ultra quote unquote ultra premium drop, is so that we could also include the drivability. Now, DeLorean will be drivable. There's a couple of other tweaks that we need to make on those specific models. The Aston Martin was developed with the intention of it being drivable from the get, but DeLorean drivability is coming soon. It's just a quick couple of tweaks on our end, but you will see it be drivable soon.
I think
Sweet.
we just
awesome.
lost everybody to the market.
Yeah, well,
Thanks for all the hard work. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Evan. All right, Skeet, you're still up here. Did you have any questions from Discord you want to bring up?
Yeah, this is more a suggestion, I guess, as opposed to a question. With obviously,
do I want to hear this?
Yeah, no, it's just with current events. I know you mentioned earlier for the new drop system, it might be with just trivial things, as it were, whilst we test it. So a suggestion has come through with current events. If we were thinking about doing a said trivial drop, maybe with the contributions going to like a charitable donation within like the Ukraine or something like that, with what's going on. So maybe something like that we could roll out, with a large amount of mints, so there's enough for everybody if they wish to grab one to pass on that contribution.
Yeah, so it's a great question, and also commendable question. I have been hit up on Twitter about this. Shout out to I think it was NFT News. I haven't got back to your tweet yet. Yeah. So there's a lot of complexity around how we would do that. Around the time that it takes to kind of develop any kind of model, regardless of if it's like a flag or if it's a 3D model. For the collectible drops, those are usually in development for 2 to 3 months. Now, I hope God willing, that this conflict does not last that long, where we would need to still do that in 2 to 3 months' time. But I'm trying to figure out what else we have at our disposal to try to give back in some way. Also, I need to, there's also the complexity of, Apple and Android taking 30% off the top, and that would just be kind of, unfortunate, I guess, if we were doing something on that level for charity. So we may need to, we're talking about it internally, and we are thinking about ways in which we can do something, drop wise or collectible wise, that we could give a portion, if not all, the proceeds to relief efforts. So stay tuned for that. I just don't have an update on it, and I didn't have an official position as Veve to talk about it from my personal Twitter. But know that we are looking at all options for charitable giving for in the future in general, but also for this particular world event.
Perfect. You covered off a few. There was obviously a lot of clamor for the DeLorean, so I know a lot of people will be happy about that information.
Yes.
And another one is because more recently, obviously, we had a bit of a madness go on with the auction. So some people are asking about Is there going to be a feature whereby it kind of stops runaway bids? Like if you don't have the funds to make a bid, and it was pressed, I think, in an article a while back that it was going to take some of your funds to place a bid. So we've had a few going back to that.
Yeah, so that stuff is still, unfortunately, in development. There's nothing we can do like immediately kind of to stop that, unfortunately. But we are looking at ways to, as you mentioned, put, you must hold the funds in order to place the bid at that amount. We are looking at, perhaps a 3-strike rule. I know somebody actually from Twitter was asking if we can ban people that repeat offenders on this, because typically if you don't pay for an option, you're then locked out of the marketplace for 3 days. But I don't know whether they're just trolls or
ongoing punishments there. There are. If you don't pay it once, you're locked out for 3 days. If you don't pay again, I think it's either 3 days the second time or 7 days. And any repeat offenders just end up restricted. So there are deterrents there. I know the auction you're talking about, and I think it really just became a bit of a community meme when it went, everyone was bidding 10 cents over $10 million. So, in that instance, obviously, I don't think anyone was making a serious bid, but ordinarily there are already deterrents in place there. The problem with forcing you to have the gems before placing a bid is that if you don't win the auction and you've just preloaded X amount of gems, then people demand a refund from us or something like that. So there was early talk about like an escrow fund. You might at least holding 10 gems or 20 gems you have to have at least that to place a bid, for example. And then if you don't pay for it, then the seller might get that escrowed amount or something like that. But really, after we implemented those original deterrents, the restriction of accounts and things like that, we haven't seen the games and the problems that we really saw in the early days. So I think we're just kind of sitting tentatively on implementing something like that at the moment.
Okay, great. Antonius55 asks, when new Star Trek stuff? Any animated starships? There is more Star Trek stuff coming. And that's all I can say on that. Let's see. Stefan asks, is it possible to do a blind box drop and after the item is bought, you can decide yourself whether to open it? That's yes and no. It depends. There might be a specific type of drop in which we kind of enable that feature, but that would be like an entire new vertical that wouldn't be for like blind box functionality across the board. We're always keeping an eye out on not only community requests, but things that our licensors are asking for, and the wild imagination of one David Yu. So everything's on the table, but I don't. It's not currently in development.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to the stage here. I'll bring just a couple people up.
We might have a couple up here already.
Okay. Oh, who else did I?
The mid lane.
You know what? Noah was bringing people up.
Yeah,
who came up first, Noah?
I think it was Forever mid lane.
Great.
Yeah.
Hey, Forever. How are you?
Hey guys, good evening. First of all, I really want to thank you for giving me the mic and finally ask something here in this space. I just have two simple questions, and it's just that I'm really curious about the comics involved, because if I remember good, I think that you guys say something that you were in the last steps in the AMA of January. So I was really curious about it. And my other question was about the sniping queue that was going to be implemented when you were in the market, hidden on the listing, and yeah, that was going to appear a message that the item was already selected.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me quickly. The first question was about comics and showroom. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, and then the second question was about item reservation in the market, like post drop, sniping,
Yeah.
etc. Okay, great. Comics and showroom. Yes, it is getting closer. We are, I hate to give timelines, but mere weeks away from this finally coming to fruition. There's a few tweaks that need to be made from technical standpoint in terms of the amount of load that it puts on the showroom. As some of you know, that some of the heavier collectibles tend to slow down your showroom, if not crash. We're always working on those types of things. And we appreciate any reporting you can give us on that when it happens to you and the specific collectible that crashed your showroom. So please file a support ticket or hit somebody up on the Discord, channel, get help or something like that. And we log all of those. But the comics in the showroom are contingent on that because it is a different type of collectible. We've had to kind of refactor how those covers appear in that environment because they weren't originally meant for that environment. So just to make sure everything's optimized and running smoothly, we can start to kind of roll that out. But they won't be readable in your showroom. You'll just be able to, place the covers as, murals on your walls, for instance. The second question, market sniping. Yes, so there's an update coming I believe I didn't make it into this last update, but the future update will have essentially when you click on an item first, it'll say that this item is currently under reservation as opposed to trying to buy it and saying just missed it. It'll kind of give you the ability to move on quickly, especially like at post drop when the market just opens and everybody's trying to get in and snipe up a bunch of things. There's also some additional security patches coming that we should slow down, if not deter altogether, the any sniping bots, etc. We're aware of them, and we appreciate your reporting when it comes to suspicious activity. But again, want to reiterate that a lot of what I look into when people send me either on Twitter or into the Discord are just kind of profiles that buy them off the market and are flipping them. That's just kind of their MO, their business model, or whatever you want to call it. But there are those cases that, with more information, the better, that we can look into and see that they are, engaging in some nefarious activity, and we disabled those accounts as soon as we performed that investigation. So, yes, thank you very much.
Perfect. Just on that note, can I just say a big thank you to everybody in the fam that has been providing that information to us. It definitely makes our lives easier. If people aren't aware of it yet, there is a bot reports channel in the Veve Discord. So if you do have conversations with anyone who's trying to sell you a bot or botted collectibles or anything of that nature, please try to collect as many details as you can and provide them to us so that we can investigate it properly. But we really appreciate all of the help that we've had so far. It goes a very long way into helping us to cut this kind of stuff out.
Okay, on a similar topic, Nick asks, hi, Nick in Hawaii. Can Veve do something about someone putting up walls to try to control buying in the market? Maybe only allow 2 or 3 at a time to prevent it. So this is an interesting question. This is a kind of a philosophical thing that we need to, think about a little more. Technically that is not against the rules. There are people who like to own as many of a collectible as possible and may just choose to decide or choose to list multiples at a specific price. I think it's more annoying for the community than anything, than it being against the rules. Obviously, we look into all of those, and if it is somebody proven to be, a bot or using nefarious means to acquire those collectibles, then we'll do something about it. But in terms of just somebody coming in and buying as many as they want and listing all of them, same thing with eBay. That's not against the rules. Now, should we consider, the amount you can list in any given period? Perhaps, but again, that conversation internally is ongoing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, personally, I don't think that we should.
Yeah.
That's kind of my opinion. It's a marketplace. If you have purchased these items legitimately, who are we to tell you that you can't sell them?
Exactly.
And you know, I'm as surprised as anyone that we are seeing sell walls in collectibles. Right? I don't think that's ever happened in the physical collectible market. I'm not sure that it happens too much outside of Veve, but really over the long term, it's the same as in crypto. This is distribution. Right? If there's a sell wall there at a certain price, those collectibles go into the hands of somebody else and out of the hands of that singular person. So over the long term, I actually think it's quite a healthy thing. And I have always held the belief that it's a free market, and the free market will decide on those prices and that demand. Yeah,
exactly. And then that is, therein lies the philosophical rub. So those questions we ask ourselves as well, but understand that, like as Reese mentioned, it is a free market, and I think they're just kind of more annoying to some people than they are against the rules, or rather against the spirit of a free market. So hopefully that helps answer the question. I know it doesn't specifically answer it, but that's kind of generally where our thinking is on it. Let's see. Let's go back to the stage. Let's see. OGW, I think. Gorilla OGW.
Hello. Yeah, thank you for having me up. Just a quick one on the bot situation. First off, everyone, we've got to thank the bots. They do drop comics at very low prices, so just remember that. But I was just going to ask, when the MCP is bought in, obviously you can earn points just through things like liking the feed and things like that. So would you consider implementing something where you've got to have a very minimal amount of MCP points, like say 5, just to go for drops, which would maybe limit the bot interaction? Like, because it wouldn't really be a barrier to entry because anyone can get a very small amount of MCP points. That's question one. And the other very quick question is in regards to the app security. My kind of worry is that it isn't really two-factor authentication, because if someone did hack your email and saw you had a Veve account, they could just download the app and just say they forgot the password. So you maybe consider even like a text message, so then you've got true two-factor authentication.
Yeah, so I'll just start with that one. Text message two-factor authentication is actually way less safe than all the other methods. SIM swaps are pretty common these days. If someone has your phone or email it or anything like that, it's really not as robust a security measure as people think. So, look, we are absolutely looking to add more 2FA types, like the Google Authenticator and things like that. But I'll just reiterate at this point how important it is to maintain your personal security. That means changing passwords regularly, using strong passwords or a password manager for all of your assets and accounts, not just for Veve. So that onus to maintain personal security of your passwords is on you. But of course, we will look to continue to implement other forms of 2FA. The email is just the most ubiquitous. It's easy to understand. If you're not crypto native, you probably don't use Google Authenticator, or maybe don't use it very often. So the email really just gives us the broadest scope of 2FA that we can use. But we'll definitely look to add that. And what was your first question there?
It was just whether you might implement the MCP one. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So the MCP really gives us a lot more flexibility over what we sort of can and can't enable, especially to the newly created accounts, which is where a lot of this nefarious activity comes from, obviously, when we stamp them out. So, yep, absolutely. We are definitely talking internally about how we can better utilize that program to further cut down on these things. As you said, whether it's just, you have to be a level 1, and that takes a bit of app activity that a bot account just wouldn't participate in. So yeah, we're definitely looking at that as a means to combat these kind of things as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much for all your hard work and for having me.
No problem.
Yeah,
thanks
for coming up. All right. Let's see here. Is there anybody else on stage? Yeah, Droy, go ahead.
Hi, guys. Good evening, good morning, and for the globe. I just want to give some props. I've been here in the beginning in Veve, right? It's just my Veve birthday yesterday.
Hey, all right. Congratulations.
shout out to the team that it's an amazing journey, right? And we see sometimes some negative comments also coming from the community, but I do want to give high value props on how it's all going. The amount of Discord user is 100,000 users right now. Twitter is exploding. It's all a very good site on what I see. MTL is now coming in. I can't wait for MCP, to be honest, right? On a more side note. But yeah, definitely good progress. What I see here. Myself, I do a lot in blockchain and in development with startups, and I can just say my props to you guys and running the community as you are right now.
Thank you, mate. We really appreciate
I really
it.
appreciate that. Thank you very much.
I do have one question for you.
Yes, I was going to say, do you have a question?
Hey, how are you thinking about, or how is the team even thinking about on avatars, right? We see Bored Ape Club, the community is growing, and when you look here on the screen, right, in Twitter Spaces, I see Athena, everybody, or Skeet, they all have their avatar. How great would it be, and maybe to test the drop system, right, to have an avatar developed by Veve or by some artist, and get that going, right? It would be so cool.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something we're definitely looking at. I know it's, for me personally, I think it's important that we look into doing the Twitter integration once interoperability is a reality, so that we can tie into these things, and you can display your Todd Batman as your avatar, for instance, or whatever the case may be. But we're always looking at different types of content, new types of drops. Whether that's one of ones or huge blind boxes with several different rarities and versions within, much like a PFP project. But yeah, everything's on the table, so it's just a matter of getting some of these big ticket items out of the way, with cash out and web platform, etc., so that we can really kind of start having fun with collectibles. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. More fun, I should say. I'm not saying they're not fun now, but yeah. Anyway, thank you, Joy. I appreciate you.
All right.
Your kind words.
Great to be here, and good luck, guys. And props to all the Dutchies here, the Dutch family that I support. All right. Cheers.
Thanks, brother. Thank you.
Okay. Who else we got? Yoshi. Hello, Yoshi.
You're on mute in case you need to.
Okay. For now, we'll move on to Anthony. Anthony Lozano.
Yes. How's everybody going today?
Well,
great. Thanks, man.
Oh, that's cool. So a couple of weeks ago, I was looking through Disneyland and their take on AR, and I noticed that they started using like implementations of AR within Disneyland, and I do know that AR glasses are going to take the world by storm, and so a couple questions here. First question is. First question is that I want to know if AR like if you guys are going to go ahead and have Veve as an app in AR glasses in the future. That's number one. Question number two, I know David, you had also mentioned that Steamboat Willie is a key appearance. I just wanted to know clarification on that, since like at the moment Steamboat Willie is down in the market. And what future thinkings you have for him?
Yeah, so that is when he said key appearance or whatever it is that he mentioned, it was mainly speaking to the historical significance of Steamboat Willie as a character. It was the first animated with sound cartoon ever in the real world. And for us to have that character and that piece, that slice of history represented as a digital collectible on Veve was, makes it historical in itself. So I don't think there was anything else that he meant by that. It was mainly just saying like, this is a really cool piece. You guys should try to get it.
Yeah, for sure. And just to address the first one, just when it comes to AR glasses, I mean, that has been a plan since day one. Really, we have always been building for a wearable future. The Veve showrooms are amazing now, but when I can look through that showroom without holding my phone in front of me, it's we really start to move into that immersive world of experiences. So we'll absolutely continue to utilize augmented reality technology. As you mentioned, Disneyland has just started doing it. I mean, we're really at the precipice of the adoption of augmented reality technology. Now, I kind of envision a day where you're walking through your city and there's a Todd Batman floating above the Golden Gate Bridge, and you walk underneath it, and maybe it airdrops you some free collectibles, and everybody with AR glasses on can see that collectible, and interact with it. Because ultimately we live in a digital world. In that digital world, you want premium digital content, and we are the providers of that content. So utilizing that technology to expand the Veveverse and expand what we're doing with these IP is front and center as part of our plans.
To also further that, I just wanted to know the future of Steamboat Willie himself, since he, I believe, along with a lot of other people, think that he deserves more respect than what he has now. Can you guys touch on that?
Respect in what way? I'm sorry, I'm not.
Yeah. You mean
Yes, he's down in the market, and because I know in the one of the recent articles that you guys brought out, it kind of like threw him under the bus. I guess a lot of people.
First off, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I wholeheartedly reject that premise. We did not throw him under the bus. He never had a tag, and the fact that he wasn't given a tag after did not mean we were throwing him under the bus. It was the first appearance of Mickey is Walt and Mickey partner statue, and the first edition lenticular card was labeled as such for a reason, because it's first edition lenticular card. It's whether or not you believe that Steamboat Willie should have came out first, or partner statue came out first. The fact of the matter is that partner statue came out first as part of the launch of the partnership in celebration of Disney Plus Day, and therefore that's the first appearance. But we are wholeheartedly in support of how cool Steamboat Willie is, and we were not throwing him under the bus. And if he's being quote unquote disrespected in the market, that's up to the market. That's a free market. They're going to have to make those decisions on their own. So yeah, that's all I have to say on that.
Great, thank you guys.
Appreciate it. All right, let's see here. Do we have somebody else on stage? Etienne.
If Etienne's not there, then OMW's got the hand up. Oh yeah, there you go.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How are you, mate?
So I just have a quick question. It's regarding like the auctions. So every time we scroll on the auction and there's like you have to go into an NFT, it goes back to like all the way like to the top. So it gets to the point like we have to think like, do you really want to enter to check like what's the bids and stuff, because you're gonna go like back up? Is there any way of just like going in and out and staying on the same spot?
That's a good note. I will take that down and send it to the devs. I appreciate that. That seems like it would be inconvenient at best. So let me, I'll take that note and send it to the devs.
Yeah, I would definitely appreciate it, because like it is a thing where it's like kind of like, oh shit, like I have to go all the way back now.
It's a pain.
Instead of just continuing, it's loading every time you scroll down, loading. So yeah.
Got it.
Be quite
okay.
Cool.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay. OMW's got a hand up too, I think.
Oh, okay. Great.
I actually just have a question from the Discord, and then just a follow up on his question about the auctions. Is there any way that we can add the comic books into the auctions tab?
Comic books into the auctions tab. Okay, I'll take that note as well. Add comic books to auctions tab. Okay.
And from the Discord, they just wanted to know, is there any news that we can go over with the OUP article?
Not yet. No. Once I release that, we'll have some good conversations about it and go through another round of feedback. But I'm just waiting on final numbers. Really, nothing's changed on that front just yet.
Yeah, and just because I got a lot of questions on that as well, Reese, that is what we're waiting for when people ask for when OMI to NFT, correct?
Yeah. So the OUP, once we sort of finalize that, the same way we did with the master collector, that finalizes that. But really, there's a few integrations that happen first. So I think interoperability will come before OMI to NFT. Some of those sort of smart contract functions need to be built in before we can transact with OMI. The same bugs that are affecting, the bridging process and things like that would be affecting any sort of OMI purchase within the app at the moment anyway. So there's still some things on IMX's side that need to be worked out to enable us to make those transactions as well. But we'll finalize the OUP properly before those kind of integrations are released.
Cool. All right, moving on. Old Rhubarb. You're on mute, Old Rhubarb. Come on, bud. I got you up here because you gave me a hard time about calling your wife up all the time, and now you're not talking. Old Rhubarb, VeveAMA, creator of great YouTube content. This is your chance to shine.
This is it, the moment.
And we're moving on.
And he's
all right. Support hip hop.
Yo, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Just want to say thank you for your, your contribution and your work. And you guys, I know you guys are doing a lot of stuff. So really appreciate about that. I do have just two quick questions. First question is, are static vehicles, will they be drivable as well, or?
No, only the interactive or, certain interactives. I believe not any of the statics. Right? Is that? Let me show that. Let me before I put my foot in my mouth. Like
before we get too far. Yeah. The real difference between the real difference between the static and interactive moniker is more the collectible itself, right? The interactives have the doors that open and the thing, the wheels that turn and all of that, but it doesn't necessarily mean the static version won't be drivable. So let's wait for a Dan confirmation on that one.
Yeah.
For sure. And then the other question is, I don't know if you guys said this before, but is Disney a confirmed long-term partner, like 5+ years, or?
We don't really. I mean, they're not exclusive. No licensor of ours is. We don't really speak to the terms of our deals with licensors, but I can tell you that we have a sizable roadmap with them. So, yeah, I mean, they're free to go wherever they please, but I think they are happy thus far, and will continue to build out the platform in ways that will make the best collectibles. So, hopefully it is a long-term deal.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
No worries. Thank you.
All right. Let's see here. Rhubarb, you back yet or no?
I am, if you'll have me.
Oh, you almost blew it.
I know it. I was feeding my my youngest some veggie straws when it happened. I was scrambling for the headset. It was a whole thing, but I won't waste any time with that. A question that I get from a lot of people is kind of like, who's the staff behind the project? How many people, are involved? I was wondering if you could speak to what is the size of the overall team and what are kind of the future projections for growing that?
So basically it's like, let's see, me, Reese, Noah, Dan, David. Yeah, just us 5.
That's it.
Just us. Yeah. No, so we have a sizable team, both in development, front and back end development, support, and then also a lot of advisors, right, that are helping, outside of Al Khan and David Yu and Dan Crothers, who are essentially like the 3 OGs. David and Dan are kind of the most involved in a day-to-day basis. David more so from the overall kind of vision and licensing standpoint, and Dan very much on the operational side, with everything from building the production teams and managing developers, etc. So we are building the team currently, and we continue to as we see fit or find good talent. In fact, I have 2 heads that I'm bringing on into the marketing realm. And I think there are some other project management roles on the operational side, and then still looking to expand on the dev front as well as the support team. So while we don't have any like hard number projections, it's just really kind of we build where we need and continue to do so.
Can you speak towards the support team just a little bit? Because that's like the biggest backlash that you kind of see on Twitter. I've been disabled. I've been waiting 2 weeks. You know, as a creator, I get a lot of comments. You know, I've been disabled and I've been in communication for 2 weeks, and I see the emails and they're all kind of similar. Are there plans to build a more robust customer service apparatus to deal with the influx?
Yes, the short answer is yes. Just quickly, let me touch on the fact that the reason why, and I think I've maybe said this before, but the responses on those particular issues about restricted accounts seem to be all worded the same, is because we want to be unified in our message, and it's a matter of efficiency. As we go through each of those accounts and investigate everything top to bottom to make sure that people aren't restricted wrongfully or by mistake, which, by the way, the false positives are way few and far between than I think people make it sound like. All of that is kind of just general, I wouldn't say canned response. There is somebody behind those responses actually doing the investigation, but to keep the messaging aligned throughout the support team and efficient for us getting through as many support tickets as possible, they tend to be similar.
Yeah, I might just take that moment just to throw some props to our support team, because
yes,
frankly,
indeed,
they get shit on a lot, and they're absolute beasts. These guys work day and night to try and get back to these tickets, and you know, at least these days, anyone who's been left waiting for a while is almost definitely a bot, and they're the ones with the loudest voice. I see just as many comments now saying that, you know, they heard back from support within a couple of hours, their account was re-enabled, all is good. So look, I'm of the firm belief that all of that system is improving, and just want to give a big shout out to the entire support team for the countless hours that they put in. Dealing with 2.1 million users is not a easy task.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's everything from restricted accounts to I can't log in to I lost my password to it's not just one issue that they deal with. And as Alex said, that's why that messaging is aligned. That's why we put out that same sort of front there. So
cool.
Yeah, but
thank you. Yeah, definitely shout out to the support team. We're getting through as many as we can per day, and so again, our apologies if it's taking a little longer than it should to get back to some of those requests. Yeah, let's thank you, Old Rhubarb. Appreciate you. Let's move on to Dead Poo.
Hey, how you going?
Good,
all right. If
cool.
I just realized I just saw your tweet with the question about the vault features. Is that what your question is going to be?
Yeah.
Okay, so we touched on this briefly last time. And for those of you in the audience, Deadpoo is also one of the many vaultaholics who specialize in building out these incredibly intricate vaults and scenes for all of the rest of us to enjoy and share amongst ourselves. There had been a couple updates where we broke essentially some of the features that they used to kind of intricately place these things in the ways that they did. We have since kind of moved back some of those controls that have helped, but apparently there's one outstanding as that is the selection of collectibles, one behind the other, so that you don't constantly click on the wrong one. Is that am I correct in that?
Yeah, correct. And just like the timing of when these will get fixed, and the priority potentially around it as well. Obviously,
well, I can't speak to the priority. I know it's on the list, and I know that we're aware. It's just a matter of, like, for instance, there's a couple other things going on with Showroom right now, right? So there's comic books in Showroom, there's the web platform, and things like that. So we're trying to kind of nail all of these things together, and hopefully everything kind of rolls out at one time. But understanding that certain things may get held up for who knows what reason, we're moving through these items as we can properly optimize them. So we are aware of the issue, and I know it's kind of a pain in the ass for you guys and a bummer that you're not able to create the way you had been, but we are aware and we are working on it.
Thank you very much, good sir.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming up. Okay, let's see. Let's take it back to Twitter. Reese, I have some Omi questions for you.
Yeah.
Some of this doesn't make sense to me, but I assume it'll make sense to you. When accurate supply on Gecko?
Yep, that's been submitted. So as soon as CoinGecko updates their details.
Okay, great. Buybacks removed from white paper.
I haven't seen that, so I don't know.
No? Are they?
Not
okay,
to my
so
knowledge.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to have a look.
Okay, let's see. Sorry, L1, L2 website, we touched on that earlier, correct?
Yeah, so the L1, L2 bridge is what people are referring to there, and that is what we touched on earlier. We're waiting for a few fixes on IMX's end to use their bridge, in case anyone missed that.
And then, for everybody in the audience, I don't work on the Ecomi side. This is why this sounds foreign to me. But visibility regarding IMX interoperability, metadata access, ERC 721 token information. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is something we're waiting on Immutable X for, correct?
Yeah. So interoperability, basically what people are really asking is when OpenSea.
Sure.
And we need to wait for Immutable to integrate OpenSea or vice versa. Before that is an option. So as far as I'm aware, they are working on it at the moment. Because, that's a big integration for them too, right? It's a big deal for their NFTs to be able to go there. So once that's there, we can hopefully open it up, I would think. What was the other part? Metadata?
Metadata, yeah. I think so. A lot of people ask, I get this question a lot, why we can't see pictures and more metadata on like Immutascan, I guess, or whatever the case is.
Yeah. So that's purely system design, right? That's our system is kind of a closed ecosystem at the moment. That data will become available obviously once interoperability is available, because you'll be able to see those things moving to wherever you want. But ultimately, it's more a matter of us creating a link to our servers that can provide that metadata information in real time, regardless of where that NFT is sold. So a bit of dev work there. It's not really a priority until the NFTs are interoperable. Doesn't really serve any purpose until then, other than being able to look at it on chain, which you can do in the Veve app anyway. So it's in the works, but I think I'd be happy to argue that MTL and MCP and OUP and those kind of things are more important to deal with at the moment.
Okay. And then obviously, I'm sure somebody's going to ask, but I'm also getting this a lot on Twitter. But any news on exchanges?
Yeah, I wish that I could reveal some news. I wish that I could share some things, but we say this every time. We are under non-disclosure agreements, and until the exchanges give us the go-ahead, we can't announce anything on that front just yet.
Okay. Elder One the God is on stage. What's up?
Hello, thank you guys for your time and all the hard work you guys are doing over there at Veve. I appreciate that. Just two simple things. I was wondering if potentially that we could get on when we're in the marketplace, if we can be able to have the ability to do a search for a specific mint number. Like I like to go hunting for certain mints, and it's a little bit more difficult. Look, like having to scroll through it. I was wondering if we can maybe get that in there.
Yes, I know that is part of the roadmap. I don't have timing on that, unfortunately, but I know it is something that a lot of people have requested, and people are excited to see. But we are definitely going to add those and more robust filtering.
And then the other thing is, I've brought this up a couple times in the community. Maybe it's something that can be looked into. You know how like in when you get a comic book graded and then it's inside the case, is that something that we can potentially do in Vivi for like display purposes, or maybe for people to choose if they want their comic book to degrade or stay preserved? Like also like have like a little toggle like on and off, like an option for that?
So let me just quickly say that it has not been confirmed that digital comics on Vivi degrade. I know that was like an idea floating around from David several months back around a specific project. But we have not confirmed that is going to be the case. You're not going to wake up one day and then if you had read a comic, you're suddenly rated lower somehow. We're not. I also don't think there will be a rating system for our comics because our mint number and the scarcity of the editions kind of does that for us in theory. The cases are going to be part of the display mechanism in the showroom. So when you display your comics in the showroom, there will be like in a nice, like almost like a grading case, if you will.
Oh, that's so cool to hear. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for your time.
Yeah, of course. Okay, I had Doctor of Stuff up here, but I lost him. Let's move on to Gio. Hey, Gio.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you very much for having me up here.
Of course.
So I have 2 or 3 dozen questions, but
if we could limit them to 2 or 3 seconds worth of questions.
No, just kidding, man. So one of them has to do with what you guys are talking about, but would it be possible to have the mint number on the showroom? That's the first question. And the second one, NFTs are about ownership, and I feel like I can't find them within the app, regardless if you can see them on Immutable X, but is it possible to find like he was saying, like find not only the mint numbers for what's available in the market, but find the account that has it or something like that?
Yeah, so I think that'll be taken care of with some of the more advanced filtering options that we'll be rolling out. In terms of displaying the mint number, yes, that is actually a feature outlined as part of the MCP, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, or is that OUP?
I think it's MCP. Yeah, MCP. I think the eventual plan is that they'll either display if you're the MCP Pro, maybe display next to your collectibles, or if you're in somebody's showroom, you might be able to tap their collectible and see that see the edition number and potentially make an offer at that point.
Yeah, I think that'll go along with the badging that we're proposing, like having certain badging for level of MCP or MCP Pro. You would have your mint numbers displayed next to your collectible, as well as some other features in terms of like accessories and things that are specific to specific tiers. So all of that will be part of MCP, but yeah, it is in development.
All right, and thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Cool. Thanks, Gio.
No worries. Thank you.
All right, Doctor of Stuff, are you here with us this time? You got Rug or what?
Yeah, I got Rug, man. I couldn't, when you pulled me up, I couldn't hear you. But first of all, I talked last time, but like I never did think you guys. I know you guys get this all the time, but man, what an incredible ride Veve is and has been. And I know you guys get a lot of shit, and you put up with that. But you guys are doing awesome. You guys are doing incredible. So just wanted to shout that out. But real quick, so 2 quick questions. Is the team able to kind of go into detail about what happened on the SR Aston Martin drop, where the collectibles weren't distributed for almost an hour, and then people were able to get rebounds at like the 44-minute mark? And so really, I'm just wondering was the team looking at, because it was such a small drop, maybe like looking at each person who got the drop for bot activity, and then or just was that some overload of the system? And then the second one, just an update. I know you talked about it a little bit, but the comics in showroom, do we have like a definitive timeline, or is it like a month out, or like maybe a couple months out, something like that?
I don't have a timeline for you on that, although I know that it is currently in testing. So it's just a matter of optimizations, as I mentioned, for the showroom environment with some of the other heavier collectibles. So there's a few things going on behind the scenes as far as showroom goes, just to make it a little more easier to use, whether it's the controls or the number of collectibles you can put in the showroom, or different types of media that are playing within the showroom. For instance, we now have collectibles with music or some kind of animation, as well as some of the animated Pride piece, for instance. And we hope to see more things like that in the future. So really, it's just kind of an optimization thing. So once we feel comfortable that it's not going to crash the showroom, then we've done enough testing, then we'll roll out. But the development's going really well. I saw a couple of mock-ups. I haven't seen it in the beta yet, but it is apparently really close. So fingers crossed. As far as the Aston Martin drop goes, I'll be quite honest with you. I kind of wasn't really tuned in that morning. I had other things going on, which is why we didn't make a announcement about it on Twitter. And I'll take the blame for that, because I kind of found out afterwards that there was a bit of a glitch with that second 7 edition collectible. Just kind of choked up the system a little bit. And then once we got everything moving again, I think people were then able to hit back on the 44-minute rebound, which is A, insane, but B, it's just one of those things where it wasn't that we put things back into the queue. It was just a matter of a lot of transactions either failing out, or that were kind of just generally not available in the full pool. Not ideal. I understand, so I'll accept our apologies on that front. It probably should have been messaging around it, but I just wasn't around, straight up. So yeah. I appreciate the question, but know that this is not the 44-minute rebound is not a thing, or nor will it become a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was very much an edge case.
Yeah, I think it had something to do with we hadn't done a blind box drop with so few editions. So there was something in there that then was addressed and has now been fixed. So I'm sure people will wait until the 44th minute on the next drop just to see if it happens. But as far as we've been told and as far as we're concerned, that shouldn't happen again.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
No problem. Thank you. Okay, quickly, we'll kind of do this for a little bit longer. We're going to wrap it up at the top of the hour here. This one's, I get this question a lot, Reese, and I don't know if you have an answer about it, but it's more philosophical than anything. A lot of new cryptocurrency investors are worried worldwide about their specific token investments because whatever may be happening around the world. Can you confirm that to Ecomi holders that their investment is safe? Thank you guys for everything.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if we have enough time to philosophically answer this question correctly, to be honest. Look, I first and foremost, I think it's the responsible response just to say that obviously all crypto investments are risky. You are definitely dealing with the riskiest asset class in the world, at least at the moment. And regardless of world events, that doesn't change the case. Now, obviously, investing in crypto, any sort of crypto, ours included, is incredibly exciting and stands to hopefully change people's lives. Now, this isn't any confirmation or anything like that, but obviously for people who are a bit worried about their investments or anything like that, look, I think that if you have done the research on our company, if you understand the team that is behind it, obviously the caliber of brands and IP that we have brought on, and the ever-increasing user base that will soon be exposed to OMI, personally, and this is entirely my opinion and not financial advice, I hold OMI in very high regard on that front. Now, of course, as a token holder, you always have the choice as to what you do with that investment, but investing isn't easy, fam. It's not easy. There are going to be ups and downs, especially in a volatile asset class like ours. But I think for most people that have been around for a while and can see the pieces that are in place already and the pieces that are coming into place, I have the utmost confidence in our token and in its future as part of our ecosystem. Outside of that, I would just suggest going through all of the fun blog posts that I put out on the Ecomi blog and really getting a sense of who is behind it. There are some, if anyone hasn't seen it for a while, there's some articles on there about our advisors. If you really want to go all the way back, you can see how this has really grown and developed over the past 4 years. And within that, the adoption of crypto in general. But look, ultimately, I'm not here to convince you whether your investment is the right one. That is for you to decide. Our job is to put that information out, and I don't think it would be responsible to directly advise you how to deal with your investment. But personally, I'll be holding my bag for a very long time.
All right. I think you did a good job of that. That was nice and brief, philosophical. Appreciate it.
Yeah, join me late night, Twitter Spaces. We'll dive deeper.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's get some more people from the stage up. Because he requests every damn time, and I don't bring him up on purpose most of the time because he requests all the time. Let's give a big shout out to Hello K, software engineer, or whatever he calls himself.
Software engineer K.
Software engineer K.
It's been a while. How's it going, Reese, Alex?
Good, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Alex, did you catch my my metaverse featuring you or the start of it?
I did, unfortunately.
I showed it to
very
Reese.
disturbing.
I think I can build the VeveVerse, so I'm authorized.
Get cracking.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially appreciated the appearance of a specific emoji.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
That shall rename unnamed. Yeah.
you
But
probably
anyway,
do.
did
Yeah.
you have a question, Kate?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah. So I've been speaking about this with Brock and a few other community members, just, like a general conversation. And interesting thing around the queue system is we're going to have kind of like 3 concurrent sort of, let's call them drop pools, right? We're going to have the normal one. We're going to have the one that you wager master collector program points. And we're also going to have the part where you can kind of burn your OMI tokens for allocation or use, the OMI utility program part. Have you guys thought about like the allocation % for each like method of entering the queue? Because that's like been a interesting topic of debate, because obviously a lot of people have been frustrated against the potential lack of benefits for collectors around this queue system coming up. So I think people were just wondering what kind of allocation might that look like?
Yeah, so I mean we have discussed it internally, but to be perfectly honest, I don't want to throw a number out at this point until we have full confirmation. I think it would be actually I'm not even going to speculate because it'll just come back to bite me. But obviously the whole point of the MCP and the OUP, especially around drops, is to benefit collectors, right? And the people that are more active in the app or have those tokens. So we're not just going to shaft everybody by making it like 1% of the drop or something ridiculous.
Yeah, of course.
So it will definitely be large enough to warrant you chancing your OMI tokens at securing a drop, for example, or to use those MCP points. But we also, it's the same as everything on Veve. It does need to be a balancing act between those 3 pools and the new users as well, right? So yeah, until I'm going to leave that one to Dan. He can throw the numbers out when he's ready to.
Yeah, I think ultimately people are just looking for reassurance that collectors aren't going to get shafted. So yeah, that's basically what people are mainly looking for.
Exactly, yeah, and look, hopefully that is enough for now. But that's the core premise of the entire Master Collector program, to incentivize and reward people that are using the app and are collecting. So it's it's definitely part of the retention strategy and the incentivization strategy to make that attractive enough for people to want to use it. Otherwise, what's the point of collecting MCP points?
Cool. So hold all those sets.
Hold all those sets. Yeah. I mean, that's up to the individual collector, but yeah, I think I've maybe sold 2 or 3 things the entire time on Veve. So
Okay.
yeah, everyone uses the app as they wish.
Cool. Okay. Well, yeah, that's perfect. Well, thanks for your time, Reese, Alex. Catch you guys.
No problem. I look forward to seeing the Veveverse whenever it's ready.
Yeah, the Veveverse and not the Alexverse.
It is coming. Oh, you know what? Actually, quick one. I need to ask Kaki Gaijin if I could include the Mona Lisa as an enemy in it. I need to ask him for that.
I'll allow it. I'll show you the license though.
Final boss, Mona Lisa. Cool. Well, thanks for that, guys.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you, Kay. Appreciate it. All right, let's move on to Dino.
Dude, what's up? How are you guys doing? Thanks for bringing me up.
Howdy.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for joining.
Dude, yeah, I'm a content creator for Veve, so I get questions all the time. So, yeah, I have a couple. I guess one is very specific, and I'm really curious on is, as I was reading the MTL article, just really curious, like how big these waves of people are going to be. I know you said we just got out of beta, correct? And there are only going to be a few people. I guess my biggest concern, I guess, is that, how hard it's going to hit the market, right? If you guys finish all the testing, you did 1,000 every week for say 6 weeks or whatever, we just make up numbers, right? And then at the end, it's like, okay, 30% of the app gets it all at once because all testing is done. Is there actual numbers on like how many per week and like when it's going to scale up? Because it's just nice to know the actual process of it.
Yeah, we don't have the numbers, but I can tell you that it will be a phased approach so that it doesn't adversely affect the market. I mean, we will see swings just by nature of the fact that when we announced that we are now moving out of beta and into, live environment, I think we saw even some dips after we put the article out, for instance.
It got hit hard.
Yeah, we can't,
no, you can't control
tell people
that.
what to do.
No, yeah, you can't control that. But just knowing the number, even hearing you say, "Hey, it's going to be gradual," like because if anything over like 5% gets it at once, it's going to be bad. Or 10%, it will be pretty catastrophic.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, we have to look at the data. We have data analysts that are looking at that and recommending based on once we're live, like what the thresholds are going to be. I don't have those numbers for you today, but like you said, it will be gradual, and we're going to do our best not to, essentially freak people out.
Cool. Yeah. One more question on bots and like accounts. I've heard things be like said it in different AMAs, answered in 2 different ways. So I've heard that locked up. Someone asked a great question last time. Locked up collectibles are actually like you're going to let us know how many are actually locked up because that's actual supply that's removed from the market. But I've also heard that some might be given away, some might be just kept locked up. It'd be great to know like a clear answer, and if you don't have it, eventually get it. Like how many are locked up? Will they all be given away? Will they just stay locked up? Because I've heard conflicting answers in probably every AMA, and thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that because you're not incorrect. There has been it's a different communication on this just because of the fact that things have actually changed. As we kind of dig deeper into these issues, we need to make sure that we are treading lightly, let's say, legally. So if you break the terms of service, there's certain level of what we can do in terms of restricting your account, still letting you participate interact with your collectibles, and then cashing out the gems that you have in your account. Now, taking those collectibles back and then putting them into like a giveaway pool, apparently there are some legal implications and some other things that we're looking further into. So I don't have a specific answer like where the pool goes on that front, but I do know that we are working towards reflecting that essentially locked up supply in the metadata so that you can see actual circulated supply. And that'll be between like burns or things that are actually locked up. As far as the giveaway thing, I know that was kind of an enticing, an enticing premise or idea, but I'm not sure that is actually going to work. I will have a definitive answer on that as soon as we are advised by our legal counsel as to what actually can happen with those. But in terms of what we are doing currently, that is all fully on the up and up. There's just, beyond that, we don't want to make any moves in terms of giving away or putting collectibles back into circulation until we know for sure, what the implications are. Because as you may know, I'm sure everybody does know, that this is kind of a very, very new space. So I think as the lawyers are figuring it out, we are as well.
Yeah, I might just add to that really there is quite a lot of complexity tracking that circulating supply when it comes to the accounts. If all of those collectibles were burnt, for example, it's really easy because we have a definitive endpoint for that collectible's life. Whereas if it's a restricted account or a disabled account, maybe it's restricted for 12 months, then the user regains access. And if that's happening across hundreds of thousands of accounts, for example, it's a really hard metric to actually quantify and put out there. So yeah, it's definitely something that would be useful from a collectible standpoint, but it will take a while to actually design and build in, I think.
Yeah. Okay. We are at the hour. Reese, I know you had limited time, but are you good to go? You got to go.
I actually do have another call to jump on. Yeah.
Okay. Let's wrap it up here then. I apologize to anybody who we didn't get to. We've gotten through most of the Twitter questions, but I do want to reiterate a couple things. The MTL, I think we just touched on. The article is out, so please take a look at that. As far as what the KYC process is going to be, we're still generally working on what that rollout plan will be from a live standpoint. As soon as we are done onboarding enough beta testers to satisfy the testing parameters that are acceptable by us internally and our MTL partner BlueSnap. So that is ongoing, but we are moving through that queue, and we will be choosing people at random for beta testing. So don't hit us up and say, "Hey, can I be part of the beta program?" Because that's not how it works, unfortunately. And I have no insight or access to beta, so don't hit me on Twitter. Love you, but don't do it. Also, it is Women's History Month. So much like we did last month for Black History Month, there will be some good drops featuring female characters from Marvel, as well as some other potential goodies that I cannot speak about at this time. But yeah, for instance, tomorrow, Peggy Carter's first appearance is dropping in Tales of Suspense number 77. And we'll continue to see a couple of key books from Marvel over the course of the month. Let's see. Otherwise, any other things I need to wrap up on?
I think you shouted out the women of Veve on Twitter earlier as well.
Yeah. So in case you didn't know, or if there are any women in the crowd that would love a safe space or some like-minded individuals to chat with about Veve collectibles and more, we have a Women X Veve channel on our Discord, as well as the Twitter handle run by the community group Women X Veve. Go ahead and check that out. I tagged it in our Women's History Month post earlier today. So please feel free to get involved. And I believe they have some interesting streams coming up. So keep an eye out for those if there's more than one. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much, everybody. Remember, Matt Gondek's first drop, Weapons Rack, drops on Saturday. And we'll have some other announcements later this week in terms of drops as well. No chili pepper emojis. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. And if that's it, thank you very much to OMW and Skeet for helping us out, bringing in some questions from the Discord. Noah for holding it down, bringing some people on stage on the Veve handle. Reese is always, always a pro, always knowledgeable, and me just your local marketing schlub, fumbling his way through another AMA. But appreciate you guys for being here, and thank you very much. We'll talk to you next time. We're going to have these regularly ongoing, back to kind of like a every other week schedule with Reese and myself, and then we'll have some more key kind of longer term vision type updates in video format with David and Dan, probably, hopefully on a monthly basis. Okay.
All right. Thanks, man. Thanks,
All right,
Alex.
so
Thanks, Nolan.
thank you so
Thanks,
much.
everybody. Appreciate it. Cheers, guys.
Take care.
See you later.